Hello everybody, it is a lovely Saturday afternoon and I'm very blue today, as you can see. Honestly, look at this outfit. I feel like I should be in like a women's prison or something. You just change the color to orange and they could probably stop me on the highway. But I thought I would take this opportunity to answer a question from one of my viewers. This is from Dark-Minded Sith, and this is a question from Twitter. Dark-Minded Sith asks, I recall you said that you aren't big on crying, so I'm particularly interested in this question. Are there any films that have made you cry, any in recent years? Well, yeah, I've mentioned that before. I'm not a big crier. That's not to say that I don't cry. There have been instances where I do. I think that there are categories of movies that typically make people cry. You know, there's the one that we all know. It's like the movie that is trying to evoke sentiment. It's trying to get you to feel something, and that would be something like a romantic comedy or like a Nicholas Sparks adaptation, Steel Magnolias, those kinds of things. Things that are deemed the chick flick. And I hate that term. To me, it is extremely derogatory and just really offensive. They're basically saying that, oh, you know, you can't feel anything, you can't cry or feel anything in your heart unless you have a vagina. So yeah, those movies just feel very forced to me, like they're trying to manipulate you into feeling something. And you know, I get it. I get why people like that kind of thing. My dad loves those kinds of movies, like romantic comedies, and he always cries during them. I just never really did personally, but I get it. You know, sometimes you just need an easy cry. That's a good way to go about it. Now, sometimes that does happen, though. It has happened to me before, but I think it's more of an instance of, you know, something is going on in my life that is really making me emotional, and the movie just kind of at the right time just gets to me. Like if I get my heart broken or I'm like came out of a really bad relationship, everything makes me cry. Like I remember a few months ago I went through a really tough breakup and I was just crying all the time, and my best friend's wedding was on, and you know, it's a fun movie. It's not great, but I enjoy it. I've never once even thought about crying in it though, but at that moment, because I was so depressed in my own personal life, I identified with the Julia Roberts character and I cried like a bitch. If I am really depressed, pretty much anything will make me cry, even Steel Magnolias. Maybe. And then there's the category of movies that are just sad movies. They deal with sad subject matters. I don't think they're necessarily trying to make you cry, but they just naturally do because the subject matter is very distressing or just really intimate, and it deals with themes that deal with loss or whatever. For me, I know Up really affected me a lot. I mean, who didn't cry during that movie? The first 10 minutes of it is just the most beautiful and sad thing I've ever seen. It's about getting old and dying, and that's pretty effective. Italian neorealist films tend to affect me, like Umberto D. The one that actually did get me to cry a few years ago, the first time I saw it, was The Bicycle Thief, which came out in the early 50s. And it's a very gut-wrenching piece of work, and it is beautiful. Very simple in the way that it's delivered, but a stunning piece of work. And you know, that's a film that I recommend to everyone. It's just incredible, and if you don't at least tear up during it, I feel like you have no soul. And then there's a type of movie that doesn't usually make other people cry, but sometimes, every once in a while, and I say every once in a while, I mean like every few years, there'll be a movie that just gets to me because of how artistic it is. If it's really poetic and profound, and all the creators, the director, the writer, the cinematographer, everyone just went above and beyond what is expected, and they just push the boundaries. It's like this perfect alchemic reaction that doesn't happen very often. Like for instance, you know, I'm a huge advocate of dance. I was a dancer for a long time, and it's just, I feel like that's a great way of expression. So in a lot of great dance sequences that I've seen, those tend to affect me a lot. Like I think the first time I saw An American in Paris, which is still one of my favorite musicals, and even though it's got its problems, it is still just one of my favorite movies. The first time I saw that, I think I was like 18 or something, and I'm pretty sure I cried when I saw that ballet sequence, that 16-minute ballet at the end, just because, as I said, there was that perfect alchemic reaction. Everything just worked. It was the dance, just the choreography of it, the costumes, the colors, the paintings, the Gershwin score. Everything just came together and was so creative and beautiful that it really moved me. And I also sometimes get very emotional if a film really breaks from the typical narrative structure and tries to do something very different. These are usually very existential pieces or psychedelic films that tend to question life and reality. These sorts of things are breaking the rules, which I've always been an advocate of as well, breaking the rules. And it's just like this twisted and creative thing that's happening. And when that happens, it's inherently going to be more profound. And it's something that we don't usually see, a point of view that we don't see. And that is great. The one example I can think of, again, within the past few years, I say this was like about a year ago, I definitely cried during 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now, I had seen it many times before, but for some reason it really got to me in this particular moment. It was like the last 30 minutes of the movie, which is a really trippy, amazing sequence. I feel like it just all clicked for me in a strange way emotionally, and it gave me a very out-of-body experience. Now, I was tripping balls when I watched it, so maybe that doesn't count. But in a way, I kind of think it does, because I remember I was sitting there and I was like looking up at the TV and I just had tears running down my face, and I was just like, this is so beautiful. Life is so beautiful. It became more of a film. It was the concepts, and I think just everything, I was one with everything around me, and just the film, it was powerful. I don't even have a word for it, just mind explosion. But yeah, you know, like in the words of The Doors, just breaking on through to the other side and really being relieved of those barriers we set for ourselves. I feel like if this is the earth, we have this safety net of emotions that we feel that's wrapped around it that keeps us grounded in reality. But anytime we have like a really profound euphoric moment, anytime we get really excited or we're really upset or really happy, it's like it's just trying to break through that safety net. It's like we're slowly trying to push through into something else, something greater, something more spiritual, some unearthly form of existence. And I think that art, whether it's music or film or a painting or dance, that's like our gateway drug into trying to understand what else is beyond what we see around us. So any type of art that is really creative and just different and profound on a certain level will definitely get to me emotionally, and I feel like it's helping me to break through. And that's what makes me emotional. But yes, the ones that affect me the most are the ones that question everything and go about showing us those ideas in more meditative ways. But anyway, yeah, that's my very long-winded answer to that question. So thank you for the question, Dark-Minded Sith. And if anybody has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Maybe I'll make this a regular segment. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, the link is below, and you can also like my Facebook page and link below that. Catch you next time.